Matter and form in Buddhism is part of 5+5 in 12 ayatanas. The first 5 are eye, ear, nose, tongue, and body. The second 5 are the objects of the first 5, form, sound, smell, taste, and touch. Though other Buddhist schools interpret the 5+5 as physical or matter, as though our physical sensory organs like eyes could see an apple that exists independently. But Yogacara school says indriyas like eye, ear, and so on, which we think of as physical sensory organs, are not physical at all, and not sensory organs, but mean seeds. This means they are strings in string theory. Yogacara school denies our eye organs can see, and there is no apple that exists. It is like in a metaverse, the player character on the screen can't see it with his eyes, and there is also no real apple. All there are the program codes for the eye, which is visual, and the information of the apple. For example, Anne in the metaverse can never see with her eyes in the metaverse, and there is no apple in reality. Yogacara school says it is when seeds, which are extremely small, get activated, then it is consciousness that arises, which can be very large as the entire universe. When strings in string theory, which are extremely small, are strongly interacting, they become branes which can be extremely large. 12 ayatanas in Buddhism can be expanded to 18 dhatus, where there are consciousness of eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Buddhism is the only science or philosophical school that calls the first 5 as consciousness, where all other philosophical schools, including science, call the first 5 as sensory organs. The reason is clear. They have to be consciousness because they do not happen in our sensory organs and brains. They need to have some kind of processing space, which are visual functions and image functions, which are branes in string theory. In the case of metaverse, they are like the video graphic card and the sound card. 12 ayatanas and 18 dhatus are very critical concepts in Buddhism, and practically, Yogacara Buddhism is interpreting them as though it is an active versus passive hologram. Holographic principle says that the universe is a hologram with information, but information can only be passive. The 12 ayatanas and 18 dhatus concepts in Yogacara Buddhism give an active view of the hologram. By the way, 12 ayatanas and 18 dhatus are synonyms as seeds, which are strings, and the last 1 + 1 or 6th and 6th of 12 ayatanas is where 8th consciousness resides and how seeds are being contained in 8th consciousness. This is why M theory not only has strings in it, but also closely related to the hologram. Assume Anne is a physicist. To Anne, everything happens in superspace or branes, which are in extra dimensions, not in our ordinary spacetime. Therefore, physics and what physics studies are also illusion. That's why David Gross said, "We don't live in ordinary spacetime, but in superspace." Physicists, before string theory, whose mind gets stuck in three-dimensional world and ordinary spacetime, are scientists of the metaverse. That's why Yogacara Buddhism says everything is created by the mind, where there is no matter. Matter to Yogacara Buddhism is only look as though there is matter, like in the metaverse. Hence, there is only law of consciousness, where there is no law of physics